let's create two sequences, one in 3/4 and the other in 5/4. I'm going to be using operator for both, like so. I'm going to be using a very simple scale, major pentatonic, and not a very sustained sound to start with. Create our first clip here, set it to 3/4, the length to 1 bar. We're going to use MIDI generate and seed to generate some notes here. This pitch looks all right. Let's set the voices to 1, density to something like that. Give this some deviation and map the oscillator pitch to velocity. You see, we chose the pentatonic scale, but we're getting some accidentals based on our value here, basically. We can set up some return tracks that will make this much more inspiring while we are looking for our sound. Here we'll use roar there. And I really like this delay because it's a mono delay, some high pass. So I can set this sequence to random pan without getting too messy. So let's see what that sounds like. Let's increase this one a bit, like so. And let's chug an LFO behind the reverb, mapping the vintage parameter, setting this to a fixed rate and random. So this will change the vintage parameter in a 1 bar of a 4/4 grid, but our sequence is in 3/4, so it's a very subtle polymeter, I guess you could say already. Sure, good enough to move to our next clip. So having none of these selected, I'm going to increase the density here and have a listen. Give those two some deviation too. Not bad. Copying over once more, deselecting them all, adding some more notes. And one last time. That's pretty good. Let's create a launch, what is it called? Follow action here. So we're gonna have each clip play 4 times before it moves to the next one. And as far as the sound goes, maybe we can add some velocity to the envelope. Not bad. I would like to set this to monophonic and give it some glide just to see what we got, because I think we have some overlapping notes here. Much better. All right, moving on to our next sequence. It seemed like our first one generated most of them in E, D, All right, let's go with D. So to keep things a bit, you know, controlled, put this to 5/4, 1 bar. Let's just drop one note here in the beginning of the sequence, having that play with our effects. So we want to keep it kind of similar sonically to the first track, but still distinct enough to be distinct. So I found a good way to do that when working with sine waves is to just add a little bit of frequency modulation from the next oscillator. Right, so we can put both of these on, we can give both of these oscillators some velocity mapping on the pitch and give it some deviation too. Cool. So let's copy that one over and generate a few notes. That didn't work out. I have to increase this range a bit. Let's see what this does. Sure. And then we can copy 1 and 2 over. Just add something. If you don't like where it drops the first note, I found you can just click anywhere in the grid and it will start over somewhere else. That's very good. Give these 3 the deviation. Did I do that here as well? Yeah. And for the last one, we can just select all of those and transform them instead using this recombine. Maybe like so. I'm going to give some follow action to these as well. Play them 4 times each before moving to the next. Should we listen to them soloed? That's good enough for me to, you know, move on. So it sounds pretty good already, very dreamy, not at all grounded. So let's bring in some pads. Maybe not the first thing you would think about when I say the word grounded, but let's make this pad-like. And that should do it. So when I say grounded, I mean that they, of course, are different meters, and we want to kind of bring this into 4/4, right? So I'll make this 2 bars long. I will use a MIDI generator here too, but using stacks instead of seed. And I believe we said D, right? Choose that. Let's have a listen. Sounds good. Duplicate that one. Try something like this. No. Also no. Now why not just an inversion of a D chord, and here maybe. Oh. It's not awesome, but it's not awful. And here we will. Right, so let's just play these in sequence and see what they do, how they contribute to the overall sonic landscape. Pretty okay. Let's just change these from next to other, so that it just picks one of these four at random as we go. All right, pads. From there, some hi-hats. Rhythm. I believe this is quite loud, so let's turn it down and have a listen. Good, let's do something about this. The velocity ramp like that maybe. And get an expression control to map the decay. Oh, expression control to map the decay of the cymbals to velocity. Okay, duplicate that, and wonder if we can shuffle around the velocity a bit. Yeah, like so maybe. And add some more. Oh, that undid the whole thing. So deselect and it still undoes it. Whatever. Cool. Let's give them the follow action. 2 times each before swapping to or playing the next. Those are our hi-hats. How about some bass? So we're building kind of the entire idea here in session view before we will arrange it very basically. Turn this one down a bit beforehand, create a clip. So as you've noticed, we've gone from our non-standard meters here into 4/4 territory. And we're continuing like that. This is also 4/4. Seed. D maybe. Right, let's have a listen here. Oh, that's way too high up. Sounds pretty good to me. You know, bass lines, keep them simple to start with. Yeah, drums. So we already have our hats, so I'm mainly going to bother with kick, maybe rim, turn down the decay. I like that it bounces off this low note in the sub very nicely. Some rim shots. It's a bit unnecessary to use this function to program some simple snares. Right, I think we have enough now to stop all of these clips and hit record to record our arrangement. So that's what we'll do. I'll start with this sequence, and I will add as is needed. So give myself a count in on 1 bar, and let's go. Right, that's enough for now. So this is our basic track idea. What's cool about this is that if we zoom in here and look at our first sequence, when it has repeated one cycle of these 4 clips, which is here, we introduce the next one. And when that one has repeated one cycle of 4 clips 4 times, we land at 32 bars, right? Which is, of course, a very good point to take your 4/4 arrangement further from. So the pads come in there, hats accordingly, and of course you can take this much further. You can. This doesn't have to happen here. The drums can come here. The drums can come way later. An artist who is a master at this technique, who springs to mind now, is Petar Dundov, especially one of his earlier records, like Ideas from the Pond, I believe it's called. That whole album is fantastic if you want to get into, you know, polymetric arrangement, etc. So yeah, that's the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time.